Interior car night. Black, fade up to, interior office night. Patrick, a middle-aged, bespectacled, rather nondescript-looking man, if anything he looks like a typical Tory MP, with his grey hair, rather grey skin, and grey or silver-framed spectacles, is sitting at his desk with the phone to his ear. As he listens, he looks down at his desk, which is covered in files, computer dongles, and other detritus. There is also a framed family picture of himself, his wife, and his 2 teenage children, 1 boy, 1 girl. Behind him, the rain is hammering against a large window that looks out on a busy street below, full of cars and pedestrians fighting their way home in the downpour. He glances up at the clock on the wall to his right, which shows that it's 7 o'clock. Then he picks up his coffee cup, which has a logo in bold, black capital letters, World's Best Accountant. Underneath, in smaller, uncapitalized lettering, it reads, i.e., most boring. He takes a sip of his coffee, but it is cold, so he gags and puts the cup back down on the desk. As he continues to listen, he occasionally mutters, uh-huh. Finally, he speaks with some emotion.
Listen, darling, I'm sorry I'm late for a dinner party, but I've got to finish this report. And I've got to drive home because there's another bloody tube strike. And so I'll be back as soon as I can. You go ahead and start without me.
As soon as he finishes speaking, Darling, obviously his wife, who he glances at in the photo on his desk, responds with both barrels. All that is audible as he listens, nodding his head, and occasionally shaking it in disbelief, is the odd muffled expletive. Finally, once her tirade has ended, he speaks again.
Look, I've really got to go.
He pauses, then adds wearily,
I'll see you when I see you.
He gently but firmly puts the phone back down. For a moment, he sits back and enjoys the silence. Then he sits forward again and looks at his computer screen, which is open on a spreadsheet that is full of numbers, acronyms, and other data. He starts tapping away quickly at his keyboard. Interior office night. A yawning Patrick sits back in his seat, removes his glasses, and shakes his head violently, obviously trying to wake himself up. He glances at the clock on the wall. It's now 9 o'clock.
That's it. Enough. Avanti.
He quickly sits forward and saves his work. As soon as it's saved, he switches the computer off, picks up a slim black briefcase, and heads for the door. Interior car night. Patrick is in his large black Peugeot and looks much happier. His briefcase is on the passenger seat beside him, and classical music is playing. The digital radio shows that he is listening to classic FM. He starts nodding his head in time to the music. As he does so, he looks out of the window and notices that the tube station he is passing is still padlocked shut. He shakes his head in disbelief, then looks straight ahead at the road in front of him. His point of view. There is a set of traffic lights in front of him, turned to red, so he slows down and eventually stops. He glances up at his rearview mirror and sees that there is nothing behind him, no other car on the road. He relaxes back into his seat. Slowly he closes his eyes and starts to hum along to the music. As he closes his eyes, the screen fades to black. For a moment, the music continues to play, and Patrick, voice off, continues to hum along to it. Until, tat-tat-tat-tat-tat, something or someone is banging on the windscreen. Patrick instantly opens his eyes again and stares straight in front of him. His point of view, the face of a young man is pressed against the windscreen. He is aged about 30, with cracked teeth, pock-marked skin, and soaking wet hair. Patrick looks confused. Then he looks down from the young man's face and sees that the young man is pointing a gun at him. It was the banging of the gun on the windscreen that had made the tat-tat-tat-tat sound. Patrick instantly sits back in his seat, looking absolutely terrified. The young man shouts at him in a strong northern, possibly Mancunian accent.
Open up! Now!
For a moment, Patrick continues to stare at him in disbelief. His point of view. He sees the young man's finger tightening on the trigger of the gun. Seeing this, he instinctively throws up his hands to protect himself.
All right. I'm opening it.
He lowers his hands and quickly tries to move across towards the passenger door. As he does so, the seatbelt jerks and stops him from moving. In desperation, he looks back out at the young man.
I'm not fucking joking! I'll shoot you, I swear it!
Once again, Patrick instinctively puts up his hands to protect himself and to try and placate the young man.
All right, I'm opening it. Don't shoot, please.
With his hands visibly shaking, he fumbles to undo his seatbelt and then slides across his seat sufficiently to unlock the passenger door. As he does so, the young man comes round to the front passenger door, and for the first time it is apparent that, in addition to the gun that he is carrying in his right hand, He is carrying a slim, brown briefcase in his left hand. As soon as Patrick unlocks the door, the young man pulls it open with the hand that is holding the suitcase and starts getting into the car. The young man is just about to sit down in the passenger seat when he sees Patrick's black briefcase. Quickly, he looks up at Patrick.
Chuka!
Patrick nervously picks up his black briefcase and glances at the back seat. Seeing this, the young man immediately takes a step back from the car and signals with his gun.
Out!
Patrick hesitates for a moment, then throws the black briefcase out into the road. The young man immediately gets into the car, puts his own slim brown briefcase down on the floor in front of him, and with his newly free left hand pulls the passenger door shut. As he does so, he rests his right hand, the hand that he is holding the gun with, on his right knee. Patrick glances down at the gun, his point of view. It is a black Walther pistol. Then he quickly looks up again, obviously trying to avert his gaze from the gun. Obviously noticing this, the young man also glances down at the gun, then looks up again and smiles broadly at Patrick.
Don't worry, it's real, alright.
He suddenly stops smiling.
Now drive!
Patrick looks stunned.
What?
The young man stares at Patrick in disbelief.
Do you want me to shoot you or what?
He lifts up the gun and puts it against Patrick's head. Patrick pulls away from it, towards the driver door, and once again instinctively throws up his hands in self-defense.
No, of course not.
And just do as you're fucking told and drive, alright?
Patrick quickly nods and turns round to face the wheel. As he does so, the young man slowly lowers the gun. Patrick looks up, sees that the lights have turned green, and is just about to drive off, when he suddenly turns back round to face the young man.
Look, just take the car. All right? It's yours. Just let me out and you can have it.
The young man looks at him in amazement. Then he starts to laugh maniacally.
I can't drive, can I? That's why I want you to drive.
He suddenly stops laughing.
So drive!
Patrick nods, turns back round to face forwards, and slowly drives away from the lights.